This story was sent to me by a subscriber who grew up in a small, aging apartment complex, the kind where everyone knows everyone, where you hear your neighbors through thin walls and smell what they cook for dinner. They told me their building always felt ordinary, safe, predictable, except for one resident, a woman who lived on the third floor, a woman who, according to the subscriber, did not age, not in 30 years. Here is their story, exactly as they told it. Block 2, Early Signs. She moved into the building long before the subscriber was born. People remembered her arriving with 2 suitcases and a calm smile, renting apartment 3A. She introduced herself simply as Lena, no last name, no details. The subscriber first met her when they were 6. Their mother had brought cookies to neighbors for the holidays, and little them had tagged along. Lena opened the door wearing a long gray cardigan, her hair tied neatly back, her posture perfect. Her voice was soft, polite. The subscriber told me, "She seemed like a grandmother, but not old, just timeless." When they turned 10, they saw her again in the stairwell. She wore the same style of cardigan, the same neat hair, the same calm smile. No wrinkles, no change. At 15, they passed her on the landing. Same cardigan, same hair, same face. Not older, not younger, exactly the same. Residents joked that she had found the fountain of youth, but the joke never felt funny. It felt uncanny, like everyone sensed something was off, but didn't want to say it aloud. Sometimes, very late at night, Lena would walk the hallways. Her soft footsteps echoed slowly, evenly, unchanging in rhythm. If anyone looked through their peephole, she stood perfectly still for several seconds before turning and walking away, as if listening for something. But no one thought she was dangerous, just strange. That changed the night the subscriber passed her open door. It happened when the subscriber was 21. They were coming home from work around midnight, exhausted, carrying a takeout bag. As they reached the 3rd floor, they saw that Lena's apartment door was slightly open, just a crack. A thin slice of warm yellow light spilled into the hallway. They hesitated. She never left her door open, ever. They walked past it slowly, trying not to look inside. But as they reached the threshold, something moved in the corner of their vision. Something wrong. They stopped, turned slightly, looked. Inside her apartment was nothing like what they expected. No furniture, no decorations, no kitchen table, no bed. Just an empty room with bare walls and a wooden floor. And in the center, a dark circle drawn on the floor, painted or burned, they couldn't tell. It was old, cracked, like it had been there for decades. And Lena wasn't standing. She was kneeling in the center of the circle, facing the wall. Her back was too straight, her neck too long. Her hair hung down like a curtain. At first, it looked like she was praying. Then she turned her head, only her head, and looked at the subscriber through the crack in the door. And her face was the same, exactly the same, but her eyes were wrong, too dark, too wide, like they didn't belong in a human skull. The subscriber froze, couldn't breathe. Lena's mouth opened, slowly, extremely slowly, unnaturally slowly, but no sound came out, just a tremor in her jaw. They backed away, steps shaky, eyes locked on the door. As they reached the stairwell, they heard something from inside the apartment. A long, wet, cracking noise, like bones bending where bones shouldn't bend. They ran, didn't look back, didn't sleep that night. By morning, the door was closed, locked, silent, and Lena was seen later that day leaving for groceries, perfectly normal, cardigan and all, as if nothing had happened. But the subscriber knew something had changed. Something had slipped. It was 2 weeks later when everything snapped. The subscriber was coming up the stairs again, this time at dusk. The hallway lights flickered, old wiring, and the air felt strangely cold. As they reached the landing, they heard a noise behind them. A soft, barely audible whisper. "Don't look." They froze. The voice didn't sound like Lena. It sounded like several voices stacked together, all speaking at once, all telling them the same thing. Don't look. But they did. They turned their heads slowly toward Lena's door. It was open again, wide open. Inside was the same empty room, same circle on the floor, but this time Lena wasn't kneeling. She was standing in the doorway. Except she wasn't standing on her feet. She was standing on the tips of her fingers and toes, back arched, limbs stretched like a marionette held by invisible strings. Her head hung backward, hair dangling, face exposed. The same face she had for the last 30 years, unchanged, unaging. But now it was twisted in a wide, unnatural smile. Her eyes were wrong again, black, depthless, like 2 holes burned through her skull. She scuttled forward 1 step, then another, her joints bending the wrong way. She moved like an insect wearing a human body. The subscriber stumbled backward, nearly falling down the stairs. Lena, or the thing inside her, crawled out into the hallway, limbs clicking softly on the tiles. Her smile widened until the skin near her ears began to tear. Then, in a voice both ancient and childlike, she whispered, "You shouldn't have watched me." She lunged. The subscriber fled down the stairs, sprinting faster than they ever had in their life, heart slamming against their ribs. They didn't stop until they were outside the building, gasping for air. They didn't go back inside. Not that night. Not ever. The next morning, they returned with the landlord and 2 neighbors. Lena's door was open. Inside, the room was normal. Furniture, carpets, photographs, perfectly ordinary. No circle on the floor, no empty walls, no sign of anything inhuman. And Lena was gone. They found her coat, her shoes, her keys, but no trace of her. She never returned, never contacted anyone, never collected her things. The apartment was rented to a new tenant months later, a young couple. They said they sometimes hear footsteps pacing the hallway at 3 a.m., slow, even, unchanging in rhythm. And sometimes, if they look through the peephole, they see a woman standing perfectly still at the end of the corridor, wearing a long gray cardigan, smiling. There are people in this world who don't age the way we do, who don't live the way we do, who don't move the way humans move. And if you ever meet someone who looks the same year after year, decade after decade, don't assume they're lucky, or blessed, or timeless. Sometimes the things that never change are the things that were never human at all.